A dexterous dogfisher, a cheeky cat that steals someone else's prey, an escape of the carp that was caught right from under the nose, a shore full of fish, and much more. Do you still think that fishing's boring? Stay with us till the end and I'll prove you wrong. Well, I'd like to start this episode with one extremely surprising incident that happened to fishermen from Japan. One day, tons of dead fish washed ashore, sardines and mackerel. The coastal area was literally littered with them. It seemed as if the deepest dreams of one of the fishermen had finally been realized by some higher beings. Seriously, in addition to the shock, this case caused serious concern in scientific circles. According to local publications, the length of the shore that mired the dead fish exceeded a mile. It's scary to imagine how badly the population of these fish as a whole could have been affected. According to experts, the reason for such an anomaly could be a sudden change in water temperature as well as persecution by predators. Do you have any idea how many predators must be chasing these poor fish for so many of them to be washed ashore? I find that hard to believe too. I don't think that people have figured out the true cause of this disaster yet. If you have your own thoughts on this, be sure to share them in the comments. It'll be interesting to read. We move on and look at the charming white shark, the very cannibal predator that swims belly up in an uncharacteristic manner and enjoys life. I don't know what happened to it. Maybe it was given unlimited access to the shore in Japan. The predator's happiness was clearly unbounded. People who were speechless stood and watched the performance for 30 seconds. Don't worry, no sudden screener here. The shark really just wanted affection, and when it realized that it wouldn't be provided, it calmly said goodbye and swam away on its own. Well, I'm not letting you swim off to your next destination just yet. Before you do, be sure to hear something interesting about the white underwater predators. Despite the fact that literally everyone in the world knows about them, the white shark population is on the verge of extinction. There are only about 3,500 individuals left in the world. The main center of their accumulation is considered to be Dyer Island, South Africa. And here you may wonder, why are these sharks on the verge of extinction? Why do other, much weaker creatures quietly live and develop? And the fate of the heroes of the movie Jaws is not enviable. As strange as it may sound, we ourselves are to blame. Popularization of the opinion that white sharks are extremely dangerous has reached its peak. Books have been written about them, scary movies have been made, and a white shark is bound to appear in any documentary material or anywhere else. And it's always presented in a negative light. Because of this, people began to exterminate these predators and in every way to prevent their development. We can see the result with our own eyes. And although it's not easy to fight with the black market, many countries of the world still make every possible effort to help white sharks to rise from the ashes. You know, white sharks are really unlucky. After all, the world is full of other equally dangerous creatures that for some reason no one's in a hurry to talk about. One of them is the Jewfish, or the Atlantic Goliath grouper. This is such a large marine fish from the family Serranidae, inhabiting tropical shallow waters at a depth of 16 to 160 feet. It may seem that this fish is not dangerous at all. It's not for nothing that the man in our video decided to go underwater to it and take a picture. As you've already realized, that's not the case. The Jewfish will only be happy to have the opportunity to cope with a man or some underwater inhabitant. After all, it's a true Atlantic predatory rock that eats sharks. Not big ones, of course, but still. I called him a stone because of the corresponding camouflage color. The Atlantic Goliath grouper can communicate with its mates, and not in the way you might imagine. Jewfish can make a deafening sound with their swimming bubble. This is how they report on their location or approaching enemies. You ask me, what can fish communicate about? To talk about enemies? It's still okay. Are they capable of anything else? And I thought that they couldn't. However, it turns out that they can. For example, clarify the address of a tattoo parlor. In these pictures, you see a painted marlin that was found by divers in the Philippines. Of course, as soon as the fish hit the net, it immediately caused a lot of controversy and discussion. Different theories were put forward. The most popular, of course, was the hypothesis of alien involvement. Say this is a relic species of ancient fish belonging to an extraterrestrial civilization. With the help of this fish, aliens passed us a secret message, and as soon as people develop to the necessary level, then they'll immediately reveal the incredible truth. Sounds like a script of some movie or TV series. In such a way, I do not believe that something similar is possible in real life. If you have your own version about the fish that became a happy owner of tattoos, be sure to share them under the video. Well, for now, we'll move on and look at the creepy worm that was pulled from the seabed in Murmansk. The Russian fishermen in his own words, often stumbles upon unusual catches. However, what he came across this time exceeded all expectations. In the footage, he's holding a large millipede worm with a truly creepy face. At times, when the siren sounds come on, the worm smiles and its head starts to fall in. What this creature is and why it reacts to sounds in this way, the scientific world has yet to comment. Leave a like if you also thought that you would not see something creepier today. But then, as if on cue, they bring us the warasubu, a very unusual sea monster. The first time you look at this footage, you're gonna think there was some alien intervention. Unfortunately, you'd be wrong. In fact, you can see a quite understandable but really very strange fish in front of you. On average, it grows to 12 feet in length. Regardless of the dimensions, the warasubu remains terrible. Its head is slightly wider than its chest. However, it shows no eyes, no nose, no spatters, or anything else typical of fish. Just a mouth. A wide mouth studded with small, sharp teeth, eager to grab at anything. Whatever monsters this Mother Nature comes up with, we should take a break from all the horror and we can go to a regular ice hole to fish. There's obviously no interference for rest there. Oh, especially since the fish are biting. At this point, it seems that the fisherman will not be disturbed by anything or anybody when suddenly his idol is broken by a local cat. The cunning predator hooks the fish that was caught by the man due to an agile movement of its paw. Then it runs away in the opposite direction. No matter how hard the fisherman may have tried to catch up with the little thief, he couldn't do it. It's okay. I think that the man was not sorry, and the cat was very pleased. Cats, by the way, are by no means the only animals in nature that slip from humans quickly and skillfully. Strange as it may seem, I would include carps among such runners. You just look at the filigree precision that this fish waited for the right moment with to return to its native underwater environment. Even more than that, it will now be able to tell its brethren about the hunt, about being baited, and perhaps it'll save their lives. Come on, that's all lyrics and thinking out loud. If we talk about the video, the carp got away really cheerfully. I really liked it. What about you? The following incident was filmed in Mexico in 2020. A random passerby captured a really unique incident. He managed to film a hug between a local fisherman and a pelican that flew in to visit him. Judging by the bird's hesitant stance, it did not expect such an outcome. The pelican liked it so much that the man still dared to hug it. Would you do that, or does it seem too dangerous? You know, I think that if we're talking about animals and a conscientious attitude to them, danger's out of the question. A person can even collaborate with a monkey and, for example, help it without any risk. The animal will feel the good energy and will never refuse support, especially if the situation requires it, just like in this video. The video was filmed in Brazil by random tourists. People were swimming in the river and they were about to head towards the shore. They were swimming away when suddenly a monkey appeared on the horizon. From the look of it, it was clearly exhausted. As scientists have suggested, it's very likely that the primate was running away from one predator or another. As a last resort, it threw itself into the water. As you can see, it worked, but now the monkey had to swim to the shore. And since its strength was running out, our tourists dared to help it in this difficult task. People threw it a stick. The animal immediately understood everything and grasped it tightly. The iron motor did all the work, and the primate got to a safe place quick as a wind. By the way, that monkey in the video was a howler monkey. This is the name of New World monkeys of the family Atalidae, inhabiting the rain and mountain forests of Central and South America and dwelling mainly on trees. As a rule, they exist in whole families of 15 to 25 individuals and eat leaves, fruits, and buds. Thanks to this way of life, they have quite well developed throat sacs. They play the role of resonators. And now, howler monkeys can immediately warn their relatives of a danger at a great distance. The fact that people help animals is certainly great, but sometimes our fellow creatures can also need urgent help. In this video, for example, a diver decided to go down to a rather deep depth and take pictures of the underwater world for his personal blog. It was beyond his expectations to find it. A real tiger shark swam right up to the poor guy. Actually, if you look at their preferred habitat, it wasn't surprising. Quite a few tiger sharks regularly visit Hawaii. There, if you believe the comments of eyewitnesses, they're found even at depths of 10 feet. Australia, that is the place where our video was shot, was not an exception in this respect. Yes, it's not easy to see them here on the shore. However, there are many of them in deeper water water, and even more so where the diver went down. Not for nothing, they're called one of the most common species of sharks on the earth. To add insult to injury, tiger sharks are pretty big guys. They freely reach 18 feet in length. Their diet can include anything from crustaceans and fish to turtles and birds. Curiously, they often found a lot of inedible objects in the stomachs of tiger sharks. This led to the idea of their excessive aggressiveness. Yes, these predators can really attack a man. It's only if he encroached on their home territory, well, or purely out of interest, in order to check his diving equipment that they would see for the first time. Otherwise, scientists have not yet detected any overt aggression towards humans. The diver in our video, if anything, was ultimately unharmed. The humpback whale's aggressiveness is still being debated. This particular giant was lucky enough to be captured on video by tourists. They were happily filming the nearby shore and the clear seawater, but their video material became many times more valuable. Suddenly, literally out of nowhere, a humpback whale jumped out in front of them. By the way, this marine mammal received its name either because of the dorsal fin with the shape resembling a hump or from the habit of swimming with its back bent. Yes, experts have not yet determined this. Humpback whale is a rather large whale with an average body length of 48 feet and a weight of 30 tons. It's believed that these creatures have the largest thickness of blubber layer in relation to body size among striped whales, and they're also the second in absolute thickness of blubber layer among cetaceans. First place, as you might have guessed, went to the blue whale. The following video was filmed in the United States in 2021. This fisherman proved to everyone around him that there's no need to be afraid of snakes, even if they live underwater. The man was so confident that he dared to feed the crawler directly from his hands. Leave us a like if you watched this short video with attention and if you were afraid that the snake would bite the gentleman. Fortunately, everything turned out okay. Both the fisherman and the snake passed happily. Although it's the owner of this dog in the video that I would call happy. Before you ask me, I want to warn you, if you're into fishing, especially if you've been practicing it for a while, this footage might hurt your feelings and make you think you're good for nothing. Don't worry, it's just an illusion and you'll do well. The dog in the video is special. Golden Retriever can stand in such a calm position for a few minutes and cloud the vigilance of its future victims. And then, bang, in a sharp jerk, it'll end their lives and gladly delight the owner with the prey. This is probably the case when going fishing. You can take nothing at all, except your favorite dog, and some loaf to serve as bait. And this video, although it's considered to be completely peaceful and positive, caused mixed feelings to me. On the one hand, there's a kind dolphin who's happy to pose in front of people, and it behaves quite calmly. On the other hand, just look at its teeth. When the dolphin tried to grab the camera, apparently to check how he was photographed, I was speechless for a moment. I didn't realize these creatures were so toothy. On the other hand, whatever dolphins are, they're still extremely intelligent and kind creatures. So I suggest that you forget about their teeth and turn all your attention to your surroundings. The fact is that even when a person is sitting in his boat and he does not hear a single extraneous sound, something like this can happen. The tarpon fish accelerated and jumped out of the water at top speed. It was enough to fly over an entire boat. It's hard for me to imagine the emotions that overwhelmed the fisherman at that moment as the fish flew in front of his eyes. Stay with us. After all, I'll tell you about unusual sea creatures caught by fishermen. Giant tigerfish. This creature in question devours crocodiles with an ease we'd never have dreamed possible. This is still happening in the African waters today. The locals nicknamed the fish Mabenga and decided that to catch it means to reach the maximum level in fishing. And you would only know how many attempts to catch it are made every day, but only the strongest and most experienced can do this. The main reason for such a rare catch is, of course, its size, 110 pounds. Heavy, aggressive fish does just that, twitching from side to side, trying to gnaw through the fishing line. In the latter, it helps her frightening mouth of 32 sharp teeth, each of which is not less than an inch in length. There are also abnormally large tigerfish, the mere sight of which makes the blood run cold in the veins. But this is the exception rather than the rule. This river monster swallows its prey whole, and if suddenly it doesn't fit in the mouth, then the former cuts it into pieces and then swallows one by one. Scientists also notice that the tigerfish often attacks birds. During the study, in 15 days, several of these specimens have eaten 300 swallows. Can you even imagine this appetite and desire to take life? No wonder even crocodiles get some. At the same time, the big tigerfish is ready to fight in any conditions. Take the oxygen out of the water? It's no problem. It'll get some air from the surface. The summer was too hot and all the rivers dried up? It doesn't care again. It'll easily crawl to the dry land and burrow in some hole. Now I'm going to show you a video of a man catching the most poisonous fish in the world. Despite its harmless appearance, it is incredibly dangerous because it can pierce any defense in seconds and inject a deadly toxin into the victim's body, from which it's unlikely to recover. The stonefish, or reef stonefish, has a flat body shape and is covered with sharp spines that make it very dangerous to humans. It can reach up to 16 inches in length and weigh up to 4 pounds. The stonefish is a bottom-dwelling fish that prefers to live in shallow waters, among coral reefs, in thickets of algae, or among rocks. This species has warts on its body which looks like small nodes. They contain poisonous glands, and when they come in contact with human skin, they can cause severe pain, swelling, and in some cases, even paralysis. The bite of this fish is very painful, and it's not uncommon for a person to need hospitalization afterwards. Despite its danger, the creature is an object of fishing, as its spines are used for making souvenirs and jewelry. It's also an important component of the diet of some species of sharks and murini, although I find it hard to believe that any creature on Earth would risk attacking it. We get why it was named that, but where did the alternative name rockfish come from? Do you know? It's all about its hunting style. It's almost impossible to spot this animal among the colorful vegetation of the reefs, so the fish doesn't have to hunt. It only has to lie and wait for a shrimp, fish, or squid to swim as close as possible, and then it's over in a matter of seconds. Just one bite. The unfortunate victim will be swallowed and will be in this bottomless belly. And if the enemy is less lucky and it tries to defend itself, it'll just get a couple of shots with spikes and begin to suffer from pain. By the way, if you or your loved ones ever step on this monster, know that the poison of this underwater creature is protein. This means that it will start to break down when heated up a lot. Therefore, it'll definitely be necessary to heat the affected area and apply a tourniquet. This will make it much easier and safer. There will definitely be enough time to get to the hospital. Irukandji jellyfish. The Irukandji is a small but very dangerous sea creature that lives in the waters of the Pacific and Indian Oceans. It gets its name from the Irukandji tribe, which lives in Australia and New Guinea. Jellyfish is small in size. Its dimensions are only from ½ an inch to an inch, but at the same time the length of the tentacles can reach more than 3 feet. This creature has a very strong poison, which can cause severe pain, cramps, nausea, vomiting, and even cardiac arrest. Its venom contains special substances that can cause severe allergic reactions and anaphylactic shock. Therefore, if you find this creature in the water, you should leave immediately. Well, or gather all the will in a fist, as the heroes of this video, and catch the jellyfish with the help of special equipment. In fact, although Irukandji is incredibly dangerous, it feeds on phytoplankton and zooplankton. However, it's not worth taking a picture with her at the first opportunity. This jellyfish does not understand anything at all, so it stings everyone left and right, no matter who gets in its way. The problem is aggravated by the fact that the poison of this jellyfish has a double bottom. At first, the affected area doesn't burn much and swells. The real problems begin after ½ an hour, when the tourist has already forgotten about the situation. Headaches, confusion, overexcitability, and panic attacks are just a small part of the trouble. Alligator snapping turtle. Our next guest is a giant with a length of 5 feet and a body weight of more than 130 pounds. This guy in the video caught it with his bare hands. I have no idea how he did it, but he got the turtle out of the water and kept all his limbs intact. Eventually, the alligator snapping turtle was released, of course. It was probably shocking that someone dared to touch it at all. The fact is that in its native waters, there has been no one who could oppose it for a long time. The animal is used to complete and unilateral domination, but don't think that's good for it. So in the course of evolution, she's learned to hide its head in its shell and move quickly. The turtle makes up for lost skills with its powerful beak, ready to thrust into its victim's body at any moment. And whoever her enemy turns out to be, it'll be unlucky. The animal can easily bite a whole pineapple in half. And the alligator snapping turtle will always wait for its own. This reptile is ready to sit for hours on end on the muddy bottom and wait for the perfect moment to attack. The turtle is helped by its own cloaca. It has a special special pocket where the liquid is stored. Due to that, this representative of the common snapping turtle assimilates oxygen. It's okay to catch a turtle, even an alligator snapping turtle. It can't hide very well, and if you know the right technique, you can do it easily. But some crazy people seriously wanted to catch a Portuguese man-o-war. And no, you can't call them pirates. They were after a large transparent bubble, also known as a killer jellyfish. And to get you excited about this video of a Portuguese man-of-war being caught, let me tell you why it's considered dangerous. To begin with, it lives up to its name. Its upper part, which is a large transparent bubble 6 inches to 8 inches long, is very similar to the stern of a ship. The ship moves only thanks to the wind or water current. Underwater hides another part of it, poisonous tentacles. Their length, attention, can reach 164 feet. And now imagine how such huge tentacles, equipped with shooter cells, pierce the prey like a harpoon and inject poison into it. After contact with the tentacles, they leave severe burns on the skin. The ordinary 5% vinegar helps relieve the pain and destroy the poison, but it's unlikely that every fisherman or vacationer on the beach carries it with them. It's good to know that the creature can sting people only for self-defense. It will not attack us for nothing. The Portuguese man-of-war is much happier to eat small fish, shrimps, and other sea creatures. Strange slug, a shapeless, slimy creature of black color. Hearing such a characterization, you can't help but imagine some monster from horror movies or just fantastic creatures. But in fact, this slug actually exists in reality. This black mollusk is considered to be the largest slug in the world. Its alternative names are the sea hare or the California sea slug. Why the California slug? Because that's where these giants predominantly live. They can reach impressive sizes. The largest specimen discovered by people was about 3.5 feet long and weighed about 30 pounds. Mostly meet individuals smaller, but they all look equally crippling. Fortunately, in shallow waters, these mollusks come out only to lay eggs. That's why it's a great rarity to meet them. Their self-defense strategy is quite interesting. Long ago, people noticed how these slugs release an incomprehensible purple liquid. Researchers for a long time couldn't understand its true meaning, and only recently a group of scientists were able to establish this. It turns out that this substance deprives the enemy of the ability to feel the sea slug, and as a consequence makes him lose his appetite. The liquid coats the enemy entirely and makes its neurons inactive. As a result, the predator will take a long time to clean itself of the sticky substance and will have time to lose its appetite, while the mollusk will, meanwhile, escape. But even if the slug misses and doesn't hit those very neurons, it's no big deal. The enemy will probably just change its attack vector to the ink itself. They say it's high in amino acids, which makes it quite appetizing. Okay, well, that black slug is incredibly unpleasant, but if you accidentally pick it up, nothing bad will happen. That's more than I can say for the blue-ringed octopus, our next guest. I'd call him one more reason not to go to Australia. Wait a minute, maybe it's not as dangerous as we're told. One tourist accidentally picked it up and nothing happened to her. The poor woman found out that the octopus of such color is poisonous shortly after filming the video. She read online that blue-ringed octopuses have enough venom to finish off a human in a few minutes. The bites from these octopuses are almost painless, so many people don't notice them until suffocation, paralysis, and cardiac arrest occur. An antidote for the blue-ringed octopus venom has not yet been found. As soon as the girl found out about it, she immediately called her father and cried. I think everyone realizes how lucky she is. These hardly noticeable creatures weigh only 3.5 ounces and are no more than 6 inches long. Plus, they can easily change color and adapt to their environment. In short, they do everything they can to avoid being feared. And then a bite, and bye-bye. To our great fortune, they cannot eat a man. We're too large for them. So they hunt crabs, shrimp, and small fish. And the way of absorbing food is very similar to the spider. That is, they just inject poison into the victim and wait until her insides turn into a kind of soup. Interesting fact, blue-ringed octopus produces such a terrible toxin it's not on its own. It's aided by symbiotic bacteria. They build this nerve poison for which there is no antidote. But that's not even the worst part as far as I'm concerned. It'd be lucky if the toxin was just killed in a flash. The victim at least didn't suffer. But here it turns out that the bitten person cannot move, cannot breathe, but at the same time sees and hears everything. It's even scarier to imagine what it's like to die, seeing and hearing how people have already stopped fighting for your life. What do you think is hiding under that big rock? Maybe a snake? Or an eel? It'd be great if it was one of the creatures we know well, but there was a Japanese salamander hiding there. It's one of the largest salamanders in the world, first described in the 1820s. In Japan, their meat is often eaten, and breeding is practiced on individual farms. But don't think that it's an easy and at the same time pleasant process. Firstly, in length, such a giant reaches 60 inches and weighs up to 77 pounds. Secondly, Japanese giant salamanders are extremely picky about their environment. It's said that they can exist only in the flowing cold water of mountain rivers. There, the salamander digs a burrow on the bank 6.5 to 10 feet deep or hides under a rock, as in the video. The head, body, and tail of the salamander have a flattened shape, which makes it quite easy to do so. What it doesn't have an easy time of, though, is looking around. Its wide-set eyes don't see well, so it relies on other senses to determine its position in space. And what's the point of having good eyesight when you have a lot of sharp and small teeth that can easily hold on to any prey, even the most skittish? The salamander uses its keen sense of smell to find its food: fish, frogs, crustaceans, insects, and small amphibians. Slowly moving along the bottom, it sniffs out future prey or ambushes it. The metabolism of these creatures is very slow, so they're never in a hurry and can go without food for long periods of time. Now I'll tell you a short story about how people met the real evil on an ordinary beach. It was in California. Fisherman was casting his nets, but he didn't see any catch. Upset, he was already planning to go home, then suddenly this miracle washed ashore. The man was speechless. He called specialists and waited for the results of the analysis. It turned out that in front of them was a deep-sea angler, which usually swims at a depth of a mile underwater. As you understand, to meet him on the shore is an incredible rarity and luck. Deep-sea anglers themselves are famous for their sharp teeth and the light bulb with which they lure prey. These creatures turn on a light and swim in the dark where nothing can be seen. The naive victim takes the light as a source of something tasty and nourishing, swims up to it, and almost jumps into the mouth of the angler. Octopuses. Have you met them in the sea, and how much do you think about them? Later, I'll tell you about these surprising creatures. Look at this huge octopus that's taken over an entire cargo ship. It can barely fit on it. It has to throw its tentacles overboard. This octopus is the largest in history, which can actually be as big as the ship and even bigger. However, it's such only in myths and stories of sailors and fishermen. It's the gigantic octopus, something similar to the kraken. In fact, it's its look-alike or twin brother. In the testimonies of mariners, the gigantic octopus is characterized by incredible size and aggression, sows terror among sailors, and very often attacks ships and boats. Needless to say, it's not very easy to believe that this is real, but I wouldn't rule out the possibility that the gigantic octopus is not a legendary creature, but a real octopus species which has not yet been discovered and described by scientists, at least officially. But what they discovered and described a long time ago is this octopus. Unlike the gigantic octopus, it's 100% real, and in my personal opinion, just as impressive. It's officially the most gigantic octopus in history and in the world right now. It's called the giant Pacific octopus. We've got the location, but what about the size? Well, most individuals grow to about 5 to 6.5 feet in length and weigh about 22 to 66 pounds. But that's nowhere near the limit. Divers have encountered giant Pacific octopuses weighing almost 110 pounds and up to 10 feet long, and the record holder weighed almost 440 pounds, and its total length, along with its tentacles, reached about 33 feet. Maybe this giant was confused with the gigantic octopus. Size is staggering after all, and their habits are similar. If the mythical octopus attacks ships and boats, then this giant attacks divers. It often sticks tightly to them and can cause serious damage to health or damage the scuba gear, which may well cause a person's death. According to some reports, this has already happened more than once. And when there are no divers nearby, the real gigantic octopus eats crustaceans and cephalopods, its main food. Like other octopuses, it prefers to lie on the bottom for a long time, quickly leaving it in a moment of danger or in pursuit of prey. It's not easy to encounter a giant Pacific octopus. Although the species itself is not threatened with extinction, these cephalopods live at very great depths. They've been found even at a mark of 5,000 feet below the sea surface. The next octopus I want to show you is rare for another reason. It's small in number, poorly studied, and almost elusive. It's also unusual in terms of appearance. Look Look how it waves in the water. For its unique appearance, the cephalopod receives its original name, the blanket octopus. It smoothly and majestically moves through the water, opening its mantle up, which resembles a blanket, a rug, or a cloak. By the way, the individuals you see are females. You can't admire males like this. The fact is that the blanket octopus is also a unique case of colossal difference in appearance and size between female and male individuals. Females are 40,000 times heavier than males. They weigh about 22 pounds, while males weigh only a fraction of an ounce, having a length of just a couple centimeters. And here's another unusual and very rare octopus, the Dumbo octopus, or Grimpoteuthis. It was nicknamed Dumbo after the Disney elephant, which this cephalopod looks like. The fins on the mantle of this octopus are arranged in such a way that when it moves, it resembles the sweeps of huge ears. Don't fall for this cuteness. The Dumbo octopus swallows its prey whole and lives in places where few can survive. Sometimes these Dumbo octopuses sink to depths of 23,000 feet and even lower. It's believed that the Disney octopuses can even be found in the Mariana Trench. We've talked about large and unusual octopuses, but what about the little ones? After all, among octopuses, there are quite modest and tiny creatures. Here, by the way, the leader, Octopus wolfie, also known as the star-sucker pygmy octopus. Its length doesn't exceed even an inch, and it weighs just 0.03 ounces. It lives in the Pacific Ocean, and I wonder how scientists found it in the largest ocean of the planet. And here's another tiny one. It's a couple times longer than Wolfie, but weighs much bigger, about 3.5 ounces. And with its tentacles open, it looks even bigger. Still, it's small. So someone might get the idea to pick up this little creature in their hands. Do not do this under any circumstances. Even though this cephalopod is small, it is insanely dangerous. This blue-ringed octopus is one of the most toxic creatures on the entire planet. The octopus bite may not even be noticed, but the effect will be imminent. It's a complete paralysis of literally the entire body, including the respiratory system. The most horrible thing is that there's no antidote to this monster, so you can only save a person by artificially ventilating their lungs through a machine or CPR until the body destroys all the toxins on its own. By the way, not only blue-ringed octopuses are venomous, all octopuses are toxic to a greater or lesser degree, so it's better not to mess with them. And in general, toxins and size are not all I can tell you about them. Keep watching to learn even more interesting facts about these cephalopods. Flexibility. Octopuses prefer to settle under rocks or in the crevices of rocks. These creatures are not stupid, and I'll talk about it later. They do not try to show themselves as the coolest in the whole ocean, so they take care of safety. And they do it very well. Octopuses have incredible flexibility, so they can get into such narrow places where no predator can crawl through. The only hard part of the octopus is its beak, which looks like a parrot's beak. It uses it to hunt and eat. If the beak gets through, the whole body follows it. This allows octopuses to get through even bottles, get out of traps that have only small holes, and so on. It looks very impressive. Disguise. If an octopus has nowhere to squeeze in to hide from a predator or just anyone, it can still hide. Octopuses are amazing masters of disguise. I think sometimes they camouflage even better than chameleons. Using a combination of pigment, nerves, and muscles, the octopus manipulates its chromatophores to change its color and even its appearance. That is, it doesn't just blend in with its surroundings, but it also changes its texture. As a result, an octopus can easily become part of some coral, and absolutely no one can realize it until the octopus itself takes its disguise off. The mimic octopus mastered the skill of camouflage best of all. In addition to everything else, it also knows how to imitate the behavior of some animals. That is, it literally is able to transform itself into some kind of jellyfish, fish, or sea snake. And such an imposter would be hard for even humans to recognize, let alone sea creatures. What's also interesting is that octopus's camouflage depends on their eyes. Having lost one eye, an octopus loses the ability to change its color on the half of its body on which the damaged or missing eye is located. Octopuses use camouflage not only to hide from predators or to rest in the midst of the sea chaos. Camouflage also helps them hunt. When I told you about the giant Pacific octopus, I told you that it lies on the bottom for long periods of time and then quickly rushes after its prey. All other octopuses tend to do the same thing. These predators love ambushes. When they see the prey, they quickly take their disguise off or simply swim after the prey, grab it with tentacles, and then pull it up to the beak. This is how octopuses prey on crustaceans, plankton, various fish, and other cephalopods. Intelligence. Octopuses hunt in a smart way, but in other aspects of their lives, they're not deprived of intelligence. Scientists rightly consider octopuses to be one of the smartest marine animals. They've conducted various tests to verify this. So, in one of them, the octopus had to guess to release the fish from the bottle, having previously opened the lid, and in another test, it had to memorize for several days in which of the tubes scientists placed the fish, and without seeing the fish from behind the partition, choose the correct tube. The octopus passed both tests easily. Scientists also noticed how the octopus looked at itself in a mirror. It's not yet been proven that they have self-awareness, but perhaps there are prerequisites for this. Like all other intelligent creatures, the octopus does not tolerate confinement. It likes freedom, so it always realizes when it's in captivity and strives to get out of there. There were lots of situations when the cephalopods have managed to break free from a variety of places, from the ship and the storage in the aquarium to the usual jar in which the animal was placed. Octopuses also know how to use improvised means. For example, in the ocean, they often use various shells, including coconut shells and other things to hide. An octopus can get into such a shelter and rest from predators, or it can hunt. Fish do not understand when some strange shell runs at them on the seabed and becomes easy prey. Heart and tentacles. And here's another interesting fact. This time it's about the body of the octopus. This cephalopod is so cool that it has not just one heart, but three. The main one, as well as the gill ones. Additional engines perform an auxiliary function. They pump blood into the third heart, and in turn carries it through the body. By the way, the octopus blood is blue, not red. This is because oxygen carries not iron through it, as in mammals, but copper. Not only the heart of the octopus is impressive, but also its tentacles. This part of the body is no less important than the head, and in some ways it's even more important. More than half of the octopus's neurons are located along the tentacles, and each tentacle has its own local nerve center. The tentacles allow it to process sensory information and respond to external factors. These animals can even taste with their tentacles instead of their beak. But the best part is that octopus tentacles can have a life of their own. If an octopus has its tentacles removed, they'll continue to move and read information. It looks both fascinating and creepy at the same time. By the way, moving octopus tentacles are a popular delicacy in South Korea, a dish called sannakji. And by the way, if the octopus is left without tentacles, it won't be upset because it can just grow new ones. I think you'll agree that these sea creatures are fantastic. That's it for today. What from this episode impressed you the most? Let me know in the comments, and thank you for watching.